Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rising Stars. I'm your interim host, Sean Watt. Don't worry, Mike will be back in the near future. This production is sponsored by Urban Eats MTL. We have a very special guest for you guys to announce. I'm with Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you so much. It's an
Thanks for having
absolute
me.
pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. I just want to dive right in. Okay, acting, what does that mean to you?
Oh, what does it mean to me? Acting for me, I guess it's learning what it means to be human, one story at a time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's beautiful or horrendous or a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, I think it's everything. Like as humans, you have to experience like the whole range of human emotion, and it's kind of boring if you don't. So acting lets me do way more than I usually do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I find like a lot of viewers too, whether it's film or television, they seem to be captivated by a villain because they can relate to this villain in some sick and twisted way because of he's humanized.
Yeah.
Right? He's not just all bad. There's a reason, there's a motive, and usually it's a sad, tragic, and very dramatic story on why he's doing he or she, you know.
And I find actually villains much more interesting to play than, you know, the classic good guy, because there's much more layers that we don't see going on underneath. Yeah.
So from a visual standpoint, I see you and I'm like, okay, I can never see you play a villain.
Oh yeah?
Have you played a villain?
In acting class I have.
Okay. Anything in particular?
Cruella de Vil.
What?
Very classic character.
That's the worst of the worst. I love animals and that's awful.
Yeah, I think many people would agree with you.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was one of the most fun scenes I've done in class.
So how did you bring her to life? How did you make her your own character?
Right. So usually the process goes, you kind of have rehearsals every week with your partner between classes.
Okay.
And in this particular scene, we rehearsed in the lobby of my scene partner's condo.
Nice.
So there were people coming in and out. And I was at one point really into the character. And you know, she's like a proud woman, but like
very egotistical.
Yeah, her external image is like
hideous.
It's kind of like a cross between I don't know if you know the movie The Devil Wears Prada.
I do, yeah.
So like Meryl Streep's character, cross between that and just someone who's like abusive to animals, I guess.
Yeah, some hobo or whatever.
And so I was really into it, and like, you know, looking all like this, and I saw in the corner of my eye people walking into the lobby and thinking that that's who I am, and I see like a little smirk, like like it was funny and really fun. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So did you bring, like, I know it's hard when you're doing acting classes and then they'll give you a script from like an iconic movie or a TV series and you're like, the hardest challenge to that is trying not to emulate what the character's already been. Yeah. And to try to create your own version of it, right? As if that character never existed.
Exactly, yeah.
Are there any tips that you can give to someone who's, you know, maybe kind of always leaning towards the, you know, playing the character? Mm-hmm.
I would recommend, if you do get a scene from a very famous movie, assuming you haven't seen the film, it's much easier if you haven't seen it. If you have, hopefully it's been a while. Yeah. And I don't usually watch the film. I usually like to read the script because that's closer to the actual process if you were to be hired for a film. Yeah. So I read the script in full. The first read-through should just be reading it as the audience member, kind of read it with your heart, as they say, and just experience all the emotions that come with the story. Just, you know, ride along the journey with the characters. And then second read-through, you can kind of pay more attention to your character and see like their perspective of things and not sort of an outsider's perspective, and see how it makes you feel. And then the third read-through, if you want to, I mean, it depends on the script. Sometimes you don't need to do several read-throughs, and it also depends how much time you have to prepare. Yeah. But yeah, the third read-through, you kind of like start to know your particular story, get your lines in, and you rehearse with your partner. Yeah. So yeah, I think the biggest tip I would give for a film like that, just try not to watch the scene that you're doing, because as for me, I have like a partially photographic memory, so if I watch it, I'll inevitably see like the actor in the back of my mind if I'm rehearsing it with a partner.
That's crazy. It's a curse and a blessing at the same time.
It helps
to have
with memorizing lines, but
I'm jealous. I wish I had that.
Well, I think it can be trained. I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure it's partially genetic, but It can be trained. It's just, it depends on how you sort of take in information.
So for,
I think.
you know, for example, like having a photographic memory, does it only apply to certain things that occur in your life, or is it like anything and everything? And
I
like
think
sort
for
of,
me it's very like experiential. Like this
Okay.
conversation,
Yeah.
in 2 weeks' time, if you come to me, I could probably relate to you the conversation like line by line.
Oh my
and,
God.
And be like, yeah, at this moment, this guy was walking in the background,
Yeah.
and I saw this car driving, or whatever.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reason I say partially photographic is because I wouldn't be able to tell you like every single detail of everyone's shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
I might be able to say general colors and like placements in the room, but I think some people are even more extreme and they can actually say like,
Okay.
you know, really detailed.
Yeah, like down to the minuscule
Yeah.
sort of thing, and you know, gestures and whatever else,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like eyelashes longer here. And
Yeah.
So, have you studied anything besides acting, or is it sort of one day you decided, hey, I want to be an actress? And
Prior to acting, I studied film studies at Concordia.
so still in the industry.
Yeah, still in the
Okay.
industry. I actually was always interested in acting since I was, you know, a little kid.
Yeah.
The reason I did film studies at Concordia was it was sort of the closest thing that was a degree, but not exactly acting. And
Okay.
I wasn't really sure about like the theater route, so I kind of just went with that. And you know, you get to watch movies every day in class and
How
and
fun,
write
right?
about
Yeah,
and
I
write
didn't do
about
the
them.
theater route as well. I thought, you know, it's either it's for you or it's not.
Yeah.
And you go based off of your gut, right? So
I did do some theater electives. It was interesting, and I learned, you know, some techniques to incorporate in my work. But I felt like film and TV felt much more natural to me as a medium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more organic. It's
Yeah.
truthful acting, right? It's, you know, being present in the moment with someone, and then just sharing, you know, the story of whatever the script might be. So you went from film studies, but did you want to be like a director at first, or you just already knew, okay, acting is what I want to do, and then you just how did you get into it from film studies?
Yeah, so I already knew that acting was my main sort of interest,
Yeah.
so to speak. But at the time that I was doing film studies, I didn't actually know how I was going to go about, you know, becoming an actor.
Yeah.
The path wasn't clear to me, and I feel like when you're outside of the industry, you don't really know the resources available to you unless you know someone and it kind of just like the floodgates open.
Yeah.
So when I was studying, I kind of, it was an idea that I had like kind of like a dream I had on the shelf for a long time. And then this one day, I was part of the Concordia Chamber Choir.
Nice.
This one day, this other student in my class, she messaged me on Facebook. She said, "Hey, I know this guy in film studies, or rather film production, who's making a short film, and he's looking for extras and is wondering if you're interested." And I said, "Okay." So he messaged me, and then that was the first extra work I ever did on a Concordia short film. And then after that, I sort of discovered, you know, the extra work world in
it's fun at first, right? It is.
In big productions like
Yeah.
American stuff. A lot of stuff is filming here, and from there it sort of, you know, took off, and I got an agent and started studying acting seriously,
Yeah.
and then, you know, moved on from extra work to actual roles.
Yeah, I know, to make you know, real finances. But to be fair, though, I've met some individuals who live in New York or LA, and they make great money just doing extra work.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
$100,000 a year, $150,000
Yeah,
a year,
you really
right?
have to hustle to get those gigs. But
Yeah, but I mean, it's if you have the work, if the productions are going, there's always a surplus
Yeah.
for extras, right? It's, you know, they have the benefit of that.
Yeah.
And I wish Montreal was sort of the same way.
yeah.
You know, it's really unfortunate. So you went from extra, did some training, you found your, you know, agent found you, or you found your agent. Where have you trained here in Montreal?
At Strand Acting Studios.
Just there right away? Just from the get-go?
Yeah, from the
Okay.
get-go, I did some research, I watched some videos, and that one seemed like the most appealing to me to try
Yeah.
out in terms of kind of what I was looking for, and also the mindset behind it. It seemed more, you know, professional and like industry-oriented rather than kind of like dabbling.
Yeah.
Because there are some classes for people who want to do it more as a hobby, and that's completely fine, but I knew I wanted to do it more as a career path. And they kind of, in class, it emulates the on-set, you know, vibe, and they teach you
it's
silence.
sort of like the
and
etiquette and stuff,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
It's a big difference, and I
Yeah.
think when you get to a certain point, you know, where I'm at, you're probably at, as well as you treat it as a business. You're the business, right?
Yeah.
I'm the business, and you need to show your almost like your value.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you hired me, but it's for a reason. It's not just because I'm a nice guy or you're a nice girl, right? Because I bring something to the table and I'm real. And you switch that mindset of, yeah, okay, I'm doing it for fun versus, okay, now this is a business and I need to work hard.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Like there are days where I'll wake up at 4 a.m. almost every single day and I'll do 2 or 3 hours of acting exercises. I have a famous friend who's an actor, big actor, and he asked me, why do you do that? What role are you preparing for? I'm like, I'm not preparing for anything. I'm just doing it as part of the process, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
So in saying that, do you have any exercises that you do, it doesn't have to be a daily basis, but here and there that you would like to share with, you know, up and coming actors or actresses or someone who's already established?
The main thing, the first thing I would do is vocal exercises.
Yeah.
There's some classic ones. If you've taken any theater or acting class, you would have learned some at some point.
Yeah.
And so I have like this routine that I run through. Even when I'm doing non-acting related stuff now, I do it. Like, let's say if I was going to a meeting or even here, I would, in the morning while I'm getting ready, whether it's changing or like even in the shower, you can do it. You just do your vocal run through and then you're ready to, you know, project your energy for the world. Today I didn't actually get to it, but
shame on you. Oh no. Won't tell anyone, I swear.
But yeah, your energy is the warm up. So
I'm
feeding off of your energy.
Come on. Shots.
Cool.
Okay.
And so that's the first thing, because your voice is kind of everything in how you, when in acting and in how
because you don't even have to move your head, but it's all from the vocal cords.
Especially on film and TV. It's not like you're on stage, you know, projecting to the last person in the theater. Sometimes you're really like super close up and you just have to be really still and everything's in your face. So.
One of my favorite tones to do is half a tone.
Half a tone?
So you're going to sit there, have a conversation in regular voice, and you go half a tone, right? It makes it just so much more dramatic. Bring it down. Right? Because that's a real intimate
we can
level.
Go super dramatic right now.
Whether it's a positive or a negative, you know?
I don't know if you can hear me though when I do the half tone, because I do.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course I can hear you, right? The mic picks up everything. Yeah. And even I can hear you, and that's sort of like the key. And there's like a whispering sort of exercise that I don't know if you've ever done this as try-on, but it's, you'll go back to back with your partner, and you're whispering the lines back and forth to each other. You know? Yeah. Just real nice and sweet. And that helps. As a warm-up. It's a fun exercise to do.
And also really forces you to pay attention to the other person's energy and like actually connecting versus like just projecting energy.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed you went right down to half a tone now, so bring it back up.
Let's stay. No.
Contagious, if you want it. Okay, we'll stay down here if you want.
Everyone just checks out of the video. They're like, okay, I had enough of this interview.
My headphones are broken.
Yeah. It's like in the film where the music is so much louder than the
dialogue.
I
know, you could tell, right? It's like dubbed over. I'm like, come on. Okay, so I want to get into like audition experience. Have you ever had a horror story when it comes to auditions where it just like went so far left field?
I think the closest thing, I wouldn't call it horror story because I feel like that's really intense. Right. But in terms of, you know, not the best experience, it was during COVID actually, and it was a callback over Zoom. For, I think, a series regular role. Nice. And the reader on the other end, I'm sure they were doing their best to do their job, you know.
You hope so.
But honestly, they had a mask. They were looking down, like the script the whole time.
Why would they have a mask on for a Zoom?
Well, because they were in the same room as the director and like the other people, but all the actors were on Zoom. So they were all still in the same room as each other, like basically the crew. And so they were looking down the whole time, like zero moments looking up, so I could barely hear them under their muffled mask. Yeah. And you know when you're really trying to play off of them,
the energy usually.
It's just like, it's like, what did you say? So I just kind of went through, I knew the scene, you know, already. So I just kind of went through as if I was doing a tape to no one, because I started off trying to read across from them, but it was not working. So it just felt weird. And we only did one run through and it's like, okay, thank you. Okay, well,
Oh, that's so heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, but I guess everyone has to deal with, technical stuff, especially
Yeah.
during pandemic. Things are unpredictable.
Yeah, I'm
But-
personally someone who prefers like in-person auditions.
Oh,
I
yeah?
prefer feeding and having people just see me as a person versus just seeing like something through
Yeah.
Zoom. It's not the same.
I don't mind
you
it.
know?
I'm actually much more accustomed to Zoom because around the time I started is when things started moving towards self-tape lined, like majority of auditions.
Yeah.
But as long as I can hear, the reader.
Yeah. And I think like when I first started acting, like I was getting extra work and I got invited to be a reader at some of the casting agencies here, and I was putting all my energy into it. The casting director was like, "No, don't do that.
Oh,
Keep
it's
it
too much."
neutral, right?"
Oh, okay.
Right? So that was kind of discouraging, and then it just, because I wanted to give the actor or
As much to
actress-
work with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It just feels like it's more of a scene instead
Yeah.
of, why would you try and do that? Okay, it's so
Yeah.
monotone and neutral. It's boring, right? If the scene's intense, you have to bring that intensity
Yeah.
up.
It's
right?
like these two people fighting and the other person's like, I don't really care.
You're
about
yelling,
what's
and I'm
going
like,
on."
oh no, why would I ever do that? And then you're bringing the energy up, and it's like
Yeah.
just so weird, right?
Yeah.
It's very false. Okay, so you've done some training. Do you have, what was it like the first time you were on set? For like a
First time I was on
speaking
set.
role.
For speaking role, I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember
Take us
what
through
that
that.
would be. What was my?
Come on, partial choreographic memory.
Okay, I remember.
So-
So you know the film Pet Sematary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a
auditioned
horror
for that.
film.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played a nurse on that.
Okay.
And actually, initially, I was not supposed to have any lines. It was sort of just like a nonverbal reaction to what was
Oh,
going
yeah?
on.
Okay.
And then they called me back, sort of the February of the following year that I shot, and they said, "Oh, we want to do a reshoot of this scene." I think it was more because of the technical, like the blood stuff they wanted to redo, because
Yeah.
there was a guy on the table basically bleeding out, and I think they wanted to reshoot that part.
Yeah.
And then they rewrote it and added in a line for me. So I was like,
Cool.
okay, great.
Yeah,
and
take
then yeah, and it was really fun, but also you realize just as much as you wait in extra work, you can also wait just as much as an actor,
Oh, yeah.
especially for smaller roles.
Yeah.
So I actually, that shoot, waited, I think, almost 11 hours in my trailer
Wow.
just to shoot my scene because
And
they
you're kinda
probably were.
anxious and you're going through.
I kind of had fun. I did like a mini vlog on my phone. I was like,
Of course you would.
And I was trying to
Hey
keep
guys, come to set with me. 11 hours later, hey guys, I'm still here.
And I tried to keep my skin sort of hydrated because in
Yeah.
the trailer it gets dry and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just yeah, I had a day alone.
Enjoy
and
the
then-
moment.
Yeah,
And if you're introverted, I don't know, are you introverted, extroverted?
I would say 50-50.
Okay.
Back when I would take those personality tests, it would usually fall around the middle.
Yeah. So you believe it, huh?
Well, it's more like it validated what I already.
INFJ.
it validated what I already believed.
Yeah.
I don't believe in boxing myself in just because some test told me something, but it usually is in line with what I already believed about myself.
It's like
so.
superstition.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you believe it, then you attract that energy to you. But
Yeah.
if you see a black cat crossing,
Yeah,
cute kitty.
you assign meaning
Right,
to
you start
whatever you
wanting
want.
to-
That's what language is, right?
Yeah.
I can say like candle, and I can make that mean like cat. It's like candle is cat now.
yeah,
So like
yeah, that's an interesting.
I'm petting.
You want to pet the cat? Go ahead. Yeah, I get what you mean. Okay, so let's talk about like a highlighted role, something that you're proud of, something that maybe challenged you, in a good way, and please share with us that experience.
A highlighted role.
Yeah, or something that for you is a highlight. It doesn't have to be anything in particular.
Well, not so much in film and TV, but in commercials.
Yeah,
My
okay.
biggest commercial where I was like the main actor in the ad was for Fizz. And I also was like on a billboard outside on the highway, and
That's exciting.
yeah, and you see my face, like we were
Really?
driving on the 20, and like every day we would see it, and
And you're just up marveling.
yeah, that was really fun. And also, I don't know if you work in commercials as well,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of them are really high energy. It depends on the brand, but
yeah.
a lot of them can be very high energy and like
Yeah.
exaggerated, and that particular ad was the case.
Okay.
And so I find those the most fun because it's just like there's no cap to how enthusiastic you can be about the product. It's just like everything is valid. And it was really colorful and pretty set. And
That's pretty
the set
cool.
designer,
So,
did a really great job.
Did you film that here in Montreal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's one of your big highlights.
I mean, off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I think in terms of film and TV, the best is probably yet to come.
Yeah.
I would really love
It's always
to do.
pending. Yeah.
I'd really love to do an action role, probably like secret agent.
Nice.
Vibes.
Any sort of film in the past? You know, any sort of how would I word that?
Like inspiration?
Yeah,
type?
any sort of inspiration.
Probably like Kill Bill series.
Extremely
franchise.
violent. Oh my God, that's not that's a spy movie.
Well, it is like
that's John Wick.
yeah. So it's like I love like action / fighting / like secret agent vibes.
Okay.
I mean the classic thriller just agent where they're discreet and in the dark all the time and then just shoot people.
It's more
1/3 of the film. It's more suspenseful. It can also be fun to do, but I really love pure action.
So what about like a military movie?
Military could be really fun too.
If I could write you a script to be like a Canadian war hero or something, that would be, I think, pretty cool.
That would
for
be
example.
that would be interesting, and I think it would be a big departure from what I'm usually probably typecast as visually. But
I think like when it comes to the industry, there has to be no more typecasting based on anything. I think it's like if you came up with an amazing story of you being a war hero, do it. Let's produce this. Let's get this out there to replicate real life, right? And I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see you in a role like that.
Asian Canadian war hero.
Yeah, why not? I think it'd be such a cool idea, and you get all the action that you want. Beaches of Normandy, go crazy, right? Rambo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually watching. Speaking of Rambo, I was watching the documentary Sly.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
What do you think?
It makes you think that. I think even today, several decades later, the path still is, write your own stuff and, star and write in your own stuff. And that's kind of how most people were probably, unless you were a child actor and you've been doing it for the past 2 decades and something, it's really hard to get those lead roles in a city like Montreal. Yeah. So just write your own stuff, produce your own stuff. And that's how you're going to get the roles that are actually interesting for you to play.
Yeah. And you can create your own universe to it as well, right? Yeah. Which makes it so much more fascinating to you as the creator, obviously. Right? So, is there anything that you'd want to create? Anything?
I was thinking of probably something. It's still in a works in idea stage, but probably something in terms of a short film, something that I could show, that I can play from 18 to like 30 plus or even like 17, so kind of like starting as a teen. Those, I don't know if you've ever watched like K-dramas where they start as a teen.
I love K-dramas. I think they're really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So often there's many stories where they start in a series, they start as a teen and then the same actor or actress plays the older version of them when they're an adult, right?
It makes it real.
Yeah,
so
and it
you're
also
growing with the
but also I feel like I'm at an age visually where I can still believably play both depending on how I just dress myself up.
Me too.
And you think you can play a 16-year-old?
I believe so. There's some hairy 16-year-olds out there.
That is true.
The
ones that are like taller than average and just like, you're still in high school.
Pinch a few of the clips behind my cheeks and tighten my face. Beautiful.
But so something like that, and I mean, it's obviously reminiscent of Everything Everywhere All at Once, where she's just like 10 characters or something in the film. Something like that could be really fun because you live a whole life and it's only, maybe
you're bringing both cultures together at that point, and that already makes it interesting because it's not done. Yeah. Right? And then K-dramas, I know they love to do their angles and, you know what I mean? And it's like, and zooming in, and it's very animated.
Right. Well, it depends on, which, I guess, studios or which era of K-dramas you've watched. Because there are some that are not as popular. Like the Netflix ones are really formulaic.
Well, those ones are good to start off in.
Yeah,
right?
It's
and that's
good
how I got into it.
Yeah, it's good for, the general, like, international general public to
Yeah.
try to get into it. But the ones that I find the best are actually more grounded. And if you really want to get into it, I would recommend like Korean movies. They're much more
Nice.
grounded, especially
Like
the
Train to
thriller ones.
Busan.
Yeah, like they're
That one
much
was
more,
great.
you know, actually dramatic and not like melodramatic.
What's his name? Jeon Yun Sung.
I'm not-
He's the guy with the briefcase in Squid Game.
Yeah, I can't
But he's
remember his
in
name
the,
right now.
yeah, he's in the Train to like Busan, and he has another lunar sci-fi series on Netflix. And I watched it specifically because he was in it, and it's
Okay.
about like them going to the moon, and then trying to extract water.
Oh,
But
yeah,
then
I
there's something that's going on there.
Is it with the little girl?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right,
I
yeah.
What was it called again? I really liked it though. It was
Me
with
too, yeah.
Duna Bay was also in
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And I
loved it.
watched it specifically because of him. I was like, I like him as an actor. He's
Yeah.
so like, there's something about him, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm watching it with like the English dub.
Okay.
But
I would
enjoy
really
it.
recommend doing subtitles though.
Yeah?
It changes the vibe entirely. Yeah. If you're watching dubbed, it's like there's something a little off about the energy. I don't know. It's
Of
it's,
course.
You know, it's just like it's like watching anime with dub, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so, right? Like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
and this and that. Cool. Would you ever want to do any voiceovers for this stuff like that?
Yeah, I would love to do. I actually recently did the English voiceover of a Japanese film,
cool.
Once Upon a Crime.
Once Upon
But that was a live
Crime?
action thing.
I
Yeah.
love it.
You watched? Did you see it, or you just kind of like the title?
No, I like the title,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
sounds pretty good.
It was
yeah.
a cross between many different like classic fairy tale stories.
Oh, so it's like Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
a Japanese version.
Okay.
But it's like there's a twist on it.
Yeah.
I won't
It's darker.
spoil it.
Yeah,
but
don't spoil it.
It is very fun and
Okay.
like high energy, a little bit more like heightened reality sort of.
Cool.
So it was fun to voice that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How many days did you have on?
It was actually just
Okay.
one day, a
Okay.
few hours. But one of the character, I think she was basically one of the evil stepsisters. So she had a good chunk of the film.
Similar to Cruella, maybe.
Well, she's much younger than
Okay.
Cruella, and much more, I would say, like less composed and less
Yeah.
calculated.
Yeah.
Very different, actually. She's more of like a crybaby.
Oh.
So
Fun.
crybaby, but still like very snobby and
Okay.
like entitled because she's.
Oh,
you know,
okay. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
But equally as fun to play. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What's a dream role that you'd like to do?
Dream role.
Yeah.
Well,
If I can give you that blank paper
Yeah.
and you sign your soul to it, what's the role? Past, present, or future?
the most concise way I would say is female James Bond.
Hmm.
I'm not
Can
sure
you do the
about.
British accent?
I can. I'm not sure I'm going to do right now.
No, I'm not
Unless
pressuring.
unless you also want to like engage in a conversation. Where
Yeah, absolutely. I can do an Irish accent as well. You know, I've been practicing it
Oh,
from the
well,
tourists.
we're not saying
I've been trying to do
Irish.
it, right? I can't do a British accent, but you know, it's.
I'm sure you,
Just
you,
sort
you
of
can
my
try.
opinion,
You know,
Leslie.
freshly baked
Mm.
goodies. You just read some words and sound like it.
It's, you know, to practice the British accent. So what I would want to take inspiration from is Tyrion from Game of Thrones,
Okay.
because he's an American actor who won an Emmy for a British
Oh,
role.
I didn't know that. Mm.
So right there, you know, he's doing something right, right?
Yeah, I'm
And-
sure he has a voice coach probably. Like an
yeah,
accent
no,
coach.
he,
Yeah.
apparently it's one of those things where he just sort of, he's self-taught.
Oh yeah.
He has
Okay.
a good ear for it, and he practiced, and that was it. And he's incredibly talented. I don't know if you've
nice.
seen the role of
I-
Tyrion.
I haven't.
Okay, if you get a minute, watch
Yeah.
watch it.
Mhm.
It's pretty captivating what he does. How did you learn the British accent?
Just since I was a kid, I've always
Yeah.
been just playing around with it. I guess similar to what you
Yeah,
just described.
that's exactly how I
Yeah.
learned my accent. Is I was watching The Tourist with Jamie Dornan,
Okay.
and he has an Irish accent. He's from Ireland.
Mm. You
And
just-
right away, I was like, that's probably one of the easier Irish accents to learn.
Okay.
And I was like, boom, okay, let's do it, right?
Nice.
And I just started imitating.
Hmm.
That's usually what actors do, right?
Yeah.
Even when you're not acting, you're still acting. So, are you a people watcher?
People watcher? Yeah, definitely. More when I was
That was a
younger.
hesitation.
No, well, if you put it people watcher, it sounds kind of creepy. But
Well, I mean, you know,
I don't-
someone
I
who
don't-
observes.
I mean, I don't mind being creepy, but
People
that's another story.
observer?
Creepy humor in the sense, but
Yeah.
let's not go there. Yeah, so I am an observer. I was born an observer, I think.
Yeah.
And
The hesitation every time you say observer. You know? You're like, I'm observer.
but I think now, as I've gotten older, I feel like it's just something that comes naturally. I don't make it a point to go out and watch people. It's more like it just like the information just comes to me.
Yeah.
It's like I could be walking in the street and I look like I'm just walking where I'm headed, but all this information is naturally coming into me.
Yeah, exactly, and you're sort of calculating it. It's almost very robotic. So like,
it's instinctual at this point.
Yeah, when I'm in like the metro or whatever and just walking around, I'll see like homeless people and I'm like, they're always interesting to watch and observe. There's
a story going on there,
mannerisms. I saw one homeless guy, he fell off onto the tracks, landed on his back, and he started whining like a baby.
Right.
Then I heard nothing. And then he started crawling up on the side of the tracks.
Okay. Did he
dragged himself up? He rolled over, and the STM guy just happened to walk by, and he's like, qu'est-ce que tu fais là? What happened? And he's like, I fell on my back. And he starts pointing, and he's like, well, you want to move over, the metro's supposed to come in 2 minutes. He hopped up, went pigeon-toed, and he started crawling towards the side, and I was like...
That's like a whole film right there.
That was interesting. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's like a short film.
My first reaction, I took off my headphones when I heard the whining, and I was like, zombies. It's got to be zombies, right?
Oh, really?
Like, I play enough video games. Yeah. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah? You think you'd survive in a
probably not. No, I don't think so. Do you think you would?
I feel like I'm small, so I can hide in places.
Yeah, like you can go hide in the ceiling here.
And like the vents maybe.
I think it varies. It depends on the zombies. Are we talking Walking Dead zombies or World War Z zombies where they climb on top of each other and they can get anywhere?
Yeah, well...
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's
there's no way to know, but maybe you can just cosplay as one of them so they don't suspect that you're actually alive still. That
sort of like Glenn from The Walking Dead, where he puts the blood all over.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And they walk through, and the zombies start sniffing, but they're only smelling the scent
themselves.
of the blood. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's smart. You'd survive because of your intelligence.
Oh, well, thank you.
Right? Your intelligence and your size would give you adversity.
Yeah. I'll crawl on all fours like an animal. Like,
why is that baby reindeer over there? Right?
Baby reindeer. Yeah. Speaking of creepy, no.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one last question. What's something that you'd like to see changed here in the industry in terms of allowing maybe the talent pool to have more opportunities for these American productions coming in?
In Montreal specifically.
Yeah, of course. Because I've noticed throughout the years since I've arrived here versus now, there's been a dramatic decrease in terms of roles available because they're already casting from, Toronto sometimes and they'll come in. What's something that maybe you would like to see, or to help encourage these production companies to
I would like to
trust us?
see a lot more Canadian-produced films and shows that actually cast Canadian talent first as a priority, rather than just American stuff or international stuff coming here and having already the main cast and everyone's just all the roles that are left are actor roles or principal roles, because it is a big. I mean, I know they get a tax break and all that, but we do have a very great set of crew here that they've been working for decades, and whenever you go on a Quebecois like film set, they have a great synergy, and I love being on set here. And I feel like if you go, I mean, I haven't worked yet in the States as an actor, but I feel like the vibe would probably be much more different in terms of the chill energy.
I think so.
Just Montreal has like a certain vibe to it that like we get things done, but we also have a good time doing it.
Yeah,
so.
we're also Canadian too, so I think that
we're
kinda,
nicer.
I've had auditions, for commercial in like Bulgaria and different LA projects and stuff, and I think sort of the vibe that I'm getting from anyone that I've met from, those sort of areas in general outside of Canada is they're less willing to help the fellow actors, unless you meet someone who's just genuine and on the same wavelength as you. Everyone's like very cutthroat, like, no, this is all about me, very like elitist mindset. Right. Which was very discouraging, because you'll heart the reaction on like a picture when they book something and they won't even like mention you or say congrats or anything.
Right.
It's kind of petty, but okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Rising Stars. I'm your interim host, Sean Watt. This production sponsored by Urban Eats MTL. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much, Lily. I wish you nothing but the best,
You too.
okay? And I hope to see you on set one day.
Yes, very soon.
All right? Take care, guys.